After a major setback at 40, does it feel like everything is spinning out of control? Maybe you lost a job you thought would carry you to retirement. Maybe your business collapsed right when you thought it was stable. Maybe a health issue or personal crisis forced you to stop and question everything. At 25, a setback can feel like a detour. At 40 or beyond, it can feel like the whole road just disappeared. And the hardest part isn't always a practical problem. It's the feeling of losing control. The routines you relied on are gone. The identity you built feels shaken. The confidence you once had suddenly seems fragile. If that's where you are right now, I want you to pause and breathe. A major setback does not mean your life is over, but it does mean you need to respond differently than you would have in your 20s. At this stage of life, you have responsibilities, experience, and wisdom. The key is using them correctly. In this video, we're going to walk through 5 practical steps to help you regain control fast after a major setback at 40. These are not dramatic reinventions. They are steady, grounded actions that stabilize you first, then move you forward. And the very first thing you need to do might not be what you expect. The first step is to stabilize your emotions before making big decisions. When something major goes wrong, your nervous system goes into survival mode. You might feel panic, anger, shame, or deep disappointment. In that emotional state, the temptation is to react quickly, to quit something else, to send an emotional message, to make a risky move just to prove you're still in control. But regaining control starts with slowing down. Give yourself a short but intentional pause. That might mean taking a few days before making new commitments. It might mean going for long walks to clear your mind. It might mean talking things through with someone you trust instead of carrying it alone. A man I once spoke with lost his leadership position at 46. His first instinct was to immediately start a completely different business out of frustration. Instead, he decided to take 2 weeks to reflect. During that time, he journaled, exercised, and spoke with mentors. When he finally made his next move, it was strategic, not emotional. That pause likely saved him from repeating the same mistakes. Stabilizing your emotions doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means preparing your mind to face it calmly. Once your emotions begin to settle, the second step becomes possible. Assess the damage honestly, but without exaggeration. After a setback, our minds often jump to worst-case scenarios. This is the end. I'll never recover. Everyone will think I failed. But those thoughts are rarely fully accurate. Instead, sit down and clearly define what actually happened. What was lost? What remains? What skills, relationships, and resources do you still have? One woman who went through divorce at 43 felt like she had lost everything. But when she listed what was still intact, she saw she still had her career, her health, supportive friends, and valuable experience. The situation was painful, yes, but it was not total destruction. Clarity reduces fear. When you see the problem clearly, it becomes manageable. And once you have that clarity, you're ready for the third step, which shifts you from reaction into action. The third step is regaining control over your daily routine. After a major setback, structure often collapses. If you lose a job, your schedule changes overnight. If a business fails, your days suddenly feel empty. Without routine, anxiety grows. Rebuild a simple daily structure as soon as possible. Wake up at a consistent time. Dress properly, even if you're staying home. Set defined hours for job searching, learning, or planning your next move. Include time for exercise and rest. A viewer once shared that after his company shut down at 49, he spent weeks sleeping late and watching television. His confidence dropped quickly. Then he decided to treat every weekday like a workday again. He woke up at 7 a.m., worked on skill development for 3 hours, networked for 2, and exercised in the evening. Within a month, his sense of control dramatically improved, even before he found a new position. Routine creates momentum, and momentum restores confidence. As these first steps take hold, calming your emotions, assessing reality honestly, rebuilding structure, something subtle begins to shift inside you. The chaos starts to feel less overwhelming. You begin to realize that while you couldn't control what happened, you can control what you do next. And that realization opens the door to the next layer of regaining control. once your routine is stable and your emotions are clearer. The fourth step is to take one decisive, forward-moving action every single day. Notice, I didn't say 10 actions. Not a complete life overhaul. Just one meaningful step each day that moves you toward recovery. After 40, energy must be managed wisely. You likely have family responsibilities, financial obligations, maybe even health considerations. Overloading yourself can lead to burnout, but one focused action builds steady progress. If you lost a job, that action could be reaching out to one professional contact daily. If your business failed, it could be studying one specific area you want to improve before trying again. If you experience a financial setback, it might mean reviewing expenses and adjusting one category at a time. A man rebuilding after bankruptcy at 52 told me he committed to making one financial improvement decision each day. Some days it was negotiating a bill. Other days it was researching investment basics. Within a year, his financial stability improved dramatically, not because of one giant breakthrough, but because of hundreds of small corrections. Daily decisive action prevents you from falling into helplessness. It reminds you that progress is still possible. But as you move forward, there is something equally important that many people overlook. The fifth step is strengthening your support system intentionally. After a major setback, pride often keeps people isolated. You might feel embarrassed. You might not want others to know you're struggling. But isolation increases stress and distorts perspective. Reach out to trusted friends, mentors, or family members. You don't have to share every detail. Just allow yourself to speak honestly about where you are. One woman who lost her long-term job at 45 initially kept it private out of shame. Months later, she finally opened up to a former colleague. That conversation led to freelance work and eventually a new career direction. But more importantly, it reminded her that she wasn't alone. Support doesn't always mean someone fixing your problem. Sometimes it simply means being heard. And here's something powerful about setbacks at 40. You are not inexperienced anymore. You've handled challenges before. You've survived difficult seasons. This isn't your first obstacle, even if it feels like the biggest. When you combine daily action with meaningful connection, your sense of control strengthens further. You begin to see that while life can knock you down, it cannot decide your response. Still, there's one final shift that transforms recovery from temporary stability into lasting strength. It's a mindset that ensures a setback becomes a turning point rather than a permanent scar. The final step to regaining control after a major setback at 40 is redefining what control actually means. Many of us believe control means preventing bad things from happening. But at this stage of life, we know that's not realistic. Companies restructure, markets change, health shifts, relationships evolve. Real control is not about controlling circumstances. It's about controlling your response, your habits, and your direction moving forward. When you redefine control this way, you stop fighting reality and start shaping your future. Think about it. You cannot change what happened last month, but you can decide how you wake up tomorrow. You can choose whether to act or withdraw. You can choose whether to see yourself as defeated or as someone rebuilding. A man who lost his business at 51 said something powerful. He said, "I realized I couldn't control the storm, but I could rebuild my house stronger." That mindset transformed everything for him. He stopped asking, "Why did this happen?" and started asking, "How can I prepare better next time?" And that question is where growth begins. When you step back and look at these 5 steps together, they create a solid recovery path. You stabilize your emotions before reacting. You assess the damage honestly without exaggeration. You rebuild your daily routine to restore structure. You take one decisive action each day to create progress. You strengthen your support system so you're not fighting alone. And finally, you redefine control in a way that empowers you instead of trapping you. A major setback at 40 is not the end of your story. In many cases, it becomes a moment you build deeper resilience, clearer priorities, and stronger self-awareness than ever before. If you're going through something difficult right now, I invite you to share in the comments. What setback are you facing? What step feels hardest? You might be surprised how many others are navigating similar challenges. Sometimes knowing you're not alone is the first step toward feeling in control again. If this conversation has helped you see your situation differently, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're building community where real adults talk honestly about setbacks, growth, and strength in the second half of life. Remember, regaining control doesn't require perfection. It requires steady action. Even today, even after everything, you have more power than you think. Wishing you clarity in your decisions, strength in your recovery, and confidence as you build your next chapter.